Hey there, welcome to this webinar of DevNet and Network Automation by PyNet Labs. My name is Abhijit, and I'm going to be the instructor for this webinar that we are having on behalf of PyNet Labs, and I welcome you all to this wonderful session that we're going to have. And I also hope that all of you are doing well at your places, or your native places, wherever you are, as the world is going through a pandemic situation. So I wish you all a very great health to you and your family as well. And talking about the session today, we of course have been connected virtually in this Teams meeting, in which we're kind of having some agenda in order to discuss about the introduction of newly introduced DevNet certifications. Then we're going to talk about introduction of DevNet. Then we'll see how the outline is going to be for the upcoming training that we're going to have, and then we'll kind of see a live demonstration where I'll show you kind of interesting stuff that how you can automate your network if you're working in a production environment, which is of course going to help you in order to prepare yourself for the uh, advancements that the industry is going to be introduced with, as the network automation is uh, going to be increased so rapidly, and the deployment cycle of this DevNet automation is also on boomed in today's world. So it's of course a great I would say initiative by Cisco that they have came up with this DevNet certification, in which I'll just quickly share my screen with you, and I'll show you some of the interesting stuffs that how networks are actually configured with automation. So let me just quickly share my screen. And I hope you can see my screen. So we at PyNet Labs are going to conduct this particular webinar, and it's of course a webinar on DevNet and network automation. And as I told you, my name is Abhijit, so you can call me Abhijit, or you can refer me as AB as well. And to give you my introduction, I have been working in this industry since last 8 years, and I have my core expertise in routing and switching, and security, data center. And now, since network automation has been launched, I've completely shifted my domain and focused all the expertise that I gained from routing, switching, security, and data center into network automation. So in the early days of my career, I used to deliver college trainings. I was being invited by various other engineering colleges in India as well as abroad as well. So I've delivered guest lectures and faculty development programs on networking and cybersecurity, and some of the development concepts as well in more than 200 colleges. And then I also gathered some of the expertise in delivering corporate trainings to various production scenarios based on the technologies of Cisco, that was CCNA, CCNP, and CCI certifications. And then since Cisco came up with this new line of certification, uh, I have completely, uh, I would say, transitioned my expertise from routing, switching, or security or data center into network automation. And I belong to a state called Maharashtra in India, but I live in Delhi since last 6 years now, and since then it's been kind of an exciting journey. Now, if we talk about what this Cisco newly announced certification means to you, I usually introduce most of these newly, I would say, announced certification in most of my trainings, because still a lot of people do not really know about the new structure of how Cisco have came up with the certification levels. So earlier, if we talk about some of these certifications that Cisco had, usually what everyone knows about, there are three levels of certification. So if we talk about levels, and then if we talk about tracks. right? So there is this first level called CCNA, which stands for Cisco Certified Network Associate. Then the second level is for CCNP, which is Cisco Certified Network Professionals. And the third level is for CCIE, which is referred as the most prestigious ID certification in the world. So when you have this CCNA as associate level certification, P as the professional level certification, and IE as the internet expert level certification. But the fact is that you can pursue these certifications in various other tracks that are available. And if we talk about some time before the pandemic, then Cisco was having different tracks like routing and switching, and most of the network engineers refer it as RNS. Then Cisco also has a track called security. It also had a track called data center. It also has a track called collaboration, which combines voice technology and video technology together, and that makes it a collaboration. Then you also have service provider track. You also have wireless track. You had a cloud track. And what this track means is you could, I would say, conduct the training in routing and switching for CCNA. Then you could go for CCNA in security. You could go for CCNA in data center, in collaboration, in service provider, wireless, cloud, and various other, I would say, tracks that were available. Now, if you are done doing the CCNA training in routing and switching, what next? What you would prefer is you would go further and conduct or conclude your CCNP trainings in routing and switching. So entirely what you were, first of all, you became CCNA in routing and switching, right? And then you did your CCNP in routing and switching. So you became a Cisco certified network professional in routing and switching. That doesn't mean that you do not know anything about other tracks, that is a security or data center collaboration or some others, but you don't have the expertise of those different tracks, right? And same goes for associate level as well. Okay, if you're making yourself CCNA in routing and switching, that means that you have not explored different topics that are available under different tracks. Okay, and that kind of highlights partial, I would say, knowledge that you have. However, the routing and switching is pretty much the fundamental course that almost everyone will recommend to anyone who is looking forward to start their journey into networking. But and it's one of the most important, I would say, certification that everyone needs to do whenever they are starting their journey with networking as its career. So people would go and do CCNA in routing and switching, then CCNP in routing and switching, and then they would kind of pursue CCIE in routing and switching. Some of them would also go like CCNA in routing and switching is done. Then they can go and do CCNA in security and then pursue CCNP in security and CCIE in security, or some other tracks as well. But what usually the concept was is CCNA routing and switching was the most fundamental course that everyone who is looking forward to pursue the career into networking industry should actually attempt for. Okay, and then once you are done with CCNA routing and switching, then you can move and do security or data center or collaboration, whatever your choice is. Right now, there were also different exams for each and every track or certification that you will look for. So if you're going for CCNA in routing and switching, the exam was 200 125. If you're going for CCNA in security, the exam was 210.260, something like that. Okay, there was another exam for CCNA data center. That was a different exam. CCNA collaboration was different exam. CCNA service provider was different exam. So every CCNA was differently catered and having different exams altogether. But then Cisco kind of came up with new line of certifications in which they completely ripped off the tracks that were referred for CCNA certification. So there are no tracks when you want to do CCNA certification now. And this new announcement happened on 24th of Feb 2020. So from this duration, whosoever wants to pursue CCNA, he or she cannot now select any specific track for CCNA certification because there is just one CCNA, and this CCNA is not associated with any track. And how it works now is the track thing will start from CCNP now. So if you're doing CCNP or CCIE, then you have the ability to choose whether you want to go with different tracks. And now routing and switching is altogether has become enterprise. Okay, it's enterprise network now. It's no longer called as routing and switching. And then you still have a call to make, that whether you want to go for data center, whether you want to go for wireless, whether you want to go for service provider, whether you want to go for I would say security, whether we want to go for collaboration. And they have completely taken off the cloud certification. There is no longer any cloud certification that is available. And those who had cloud certifications before this cloud track being expired, they were migrated to data center track. So if I had a CCNP in cloud, okay, till this date, 24th of February 2020, I will still have, then the new certification that will be awarded to me would be CCNP data center instead of CCNP cloud, and that will be a new certification. So this is how CCNA works as of now. Then if we talk about the next thing, that let's say I want to pursue now a different kind of certification, which is newly announced, that is CCNP. Okay, and let's say I want to do CCNP enterprise. And if I want to do the CCNP enterprise, then earlier this enterprise was routing and switching, right? So if I had to pursue CCNP in routing and switching, then I had to attempt different exams in order to pass or get an accreditation that would recognize me as Cisco certified network professional. And if I talk about these different certifications, then I would need to attempt different exams that would, let's say the first exam I would need to attempt was a route. Okay, CCNP route. The second exam was CCNP switch, and the third exam was CCNP T-shoot. And when I pass all these three exams, then and then only these three exams will make me identified as a CCNP routing and switching, which means Cisco Certified Network Professional in routing and switching. Okay, if I fail in any of the exam, let's say I did pass my route exam, I did pass my switch exam, but I didn't pass my T-shoot exam, I got failed in that. Even then as well, that doesn't makes me CCNP routing and switching, and I will again need to reattempt the T-shoot exam again. Okay, and then I'll be certified as CCNP routing and switching if I pass it. So the fees for CCNA in routing and switching, if I need to attempt it, was around 300 USD or US dollars. And for each and every exam that I would need to give for these route switch and T-shoot, that would also require me 300 US dollars. That would kind of combining make it as 900 US dollars in order to pass the CCNP routing and switching exam. Okay, and plus taxes as well. So yeah, these are quite kind of expensive certifications that IT engineers do. So what's the difference now? If we want to become CCNP now, how does Cisco cater these exams? So Cisco has divided these exams in two different categories. The first category that they have is core exams. Okay, now if I say that we have all these different tracks, Makes sense? So all these different tracks are going to be divided into several groups. And if I say that the first track is enterprise, and the second track that we have is security, let's say, and the third track is data center. These are the three tracks that we have. Now, each of this particular track has a core certification or has a core exam, and all these exams are named as NCore. Okay, so I would just write it with a different marker, let's say. So yeah, NCore, you have Sec core, and you have DC core. These would be the core exams, and each of this particular track will also have some concentration exam. Okay, so the second type of exam or the department that you have is concentrated exams. And these concentration exams would be something like NRC, like advanced routing and switching. Okay, then you will have EN, I would say WLSI, wireless deployment. Okay, or implementing wireless in enterprise network. Then you will also have EN SDW for SD-WAN. You will have EN auto for automating the enterprise network. Just like that, you will have like VPN, you will have ICE module, you will have FTD, or you will have some other automation exams as well, like Sec Auto, and so some other concentration exams that would be available there. Now, according to Cisco, if you want to pass CCNP level of certifications, or if you want to be recognized as a professional in Cisco's certification, then you need to pass this core exam. Meaning that if you want to become CCNP Enterprise, the first exam that you need to pass is NCore, which is a core exam for enterprise module, and then you can pass any of these specialized or concentrated exam. So I would say any one concentration exam needs to be passed. And let's say we take an RC, and when you pass both the NCore and NRC, which means this and this, then you will be called as CCNP Enterprise or Cisco Certified Network Professional in Enterprise Network. Makes sense. Just like that, if you want to become CCNP security, then you would need to, I would say, pass the sec core, the core exam, and then the any specialized exam into the security domain. So CCNP now requires you to only pass two exams. Okay, and these two exams would be one of the core exam, and the other one would be concentrated exam. Now, along with this professional level, Cisco also have introduced something called specialists. And what is this specialist? The specialist means that if you pass any one exam, including the core exam, then you will be called as specialist of that technology, and you will be identified as Cisco certified specialist. So if I just pass NCore exam and I don't give any concentrated exam, I'll be called a specialist. If I just pass any one of these exams, that let's say be it NRC, be it a wireless network, be it SD-WAN, be it automation, then I'll be called as specialist, and I will not be identified as professional in that. Okay, and even if I pass multiple, I would say, of these concentrated exams, even then as well I'll be called as specialist, until unless I pass one core exam and one of the concentrated exam, I will not be identified as as a professional, a Cisco certified network professional. And that's how Cisco is rolling out its new line of certification. Now, the biggest announcement that Cisco did was introduction of a complete new line of certifications, okay, or a new line of track that is referred as, and for exactly what we have been gathered here is DevNet, right? Everybody is been talking about what this DevNet is. Most of you might have also explored a lot about DevNet, and have also been through most of the, I would say, articles that are present onto the web, and you might have seen various other videos on YouTube as well. Okay, so what is this DevNet? So DevNet actually focuses completely on something called network automation. Okay, and this network automation is so in talks that almost every company is looking forward to get someone and configure their network, that can actually deploy automation. Okay, so when DevNet actually came up, Cisco announced a new associate exam. Okay, and that associate exam stands for DEVASC, DevNet Associate. The exam code for this is 200901. And then it also asked, or it also announced a professional level as well. And that professional certification is, also stands for, there is one core exam, which is Dev Core. And there are different, I would say, concentrated exams. And the concentrated exam stands for N Auto, you have Sec Auto for security automation, you have DC Auto, you have CL Auto for collaboration automation. So, what these tracks are? These tracks are nothing but the same that you will see in each of the professional level certification at the very last. So, the every last module into the concentrated exam, you will see in enterprise security data center, I would say service provider collaboration security, you would see a specific track or module that focuses on automating that specific, I would say, technology. Okay, automating enterprise technologies, automating security technologies, automating data center technologies. And those are the tracks that are nothing but the concentrated level of certifications that are available under this DevNet track, which is completely newly announced. So when you pass a DevNet associate exam, okay, then you can pass a Dev Core exam, and you can also pass one of these concentrated exam, be it enterprise automation, security automation, data center automation, or collaboration automation. Okay, and the advantage that you get over here is, if let's say that you pass Dev Core, and along with that you also pass N Core, which is a core exam for your enterprise network. And after passing both of these core exams, if you just pass another concentrated exam, let's say that is an auto. Now this an auto is common exam for enterprise and for DevCore or for DevNet. And by passing these three exams, what you become? You become a CCNP in enterprise, and you also become CCNP in DevNet. Make sense? So this is how, by passing just three exams, it benefits you and it makes you as CCNP in enterprise networks and CCNP in DevNet as well. And that's exactly how this new line of certification is going to be announced. Now, the training that we are catering for you guys specifically focuses on the associate level of exam that is being conducted by Cisco. Okay, and if I show you how this thing works, then let's say I open up my web browser, and I hope you can see that. So This is what the new DevNet Associate exam is. The DevNet Associate exam is a 120-minute exam associated with the Cisco Certified DevNet Associate certification, and the exam tests a candidate's knowledge of software development and design, including understandings of APIs and Cisco platforms, and I would say development, and how applications are developed. You need to have you need to gather the understanding of how automation is actually configured, and there are different sections that we're going to talk about in this particular training. Okay, just like software development and design, and in which we'll be talking about GitHub, in which we'll be talking about what is XML, what is JSON, and we'll be exploring what I would say APIs and all other thing means for you. So the major content that we really are going to focus in this particular training would be, the first thing that we're going to talk is DevNet. So everything that is mentioned into the DEVASC exam, that is going to be covered in this particular training that we're coming up with. And the second thing that we will be talking about is fundamentals of Python and network automation. I see some of you are posting questions as well on the teams. Let me just get a glimpse of that so that I understand what's going on there. So some of you are asking that can I do directly CCNP security without doing CCNA? Yeah, you can do that. There is no limitation or mandation that you need to have a CCNA certification and then you can go with the CCNP. Okay, but first what you need to do is, in order to, I would say, get an identification that you are a professional certification, you need to also have CCNA with you. So you can directly attempt for the exam. Okay, but you should have knowledge of CCNA as well for that.
I Abhijit, so I'm saying I'll answer the questions in the chat box directly. It saves your time. I mean, or maybe you at the end of the exam or end of the webinar, you can take the questions from everyone. What do you say?
Yep,
Meanwhile, I'll
sure.
keep
We
typing
can
the
do
answer.
that.
Yeah. So we'll save a lot of time in the definite webinar. Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds
Thank you.
good.
Thank you. Thanks, man.
Now, the thing is that when we reviewed at PyNet Labs, when we reviewed about the content that Cisco has came up with, you see different sections over here. That software development and design, you have understanding and using of APIs, you have Cisco platforms and development, you have application deployment and security, you have infrastructure and automation, and you have network fundamentals. Now here's how Cisco is dividing the certification and I would say the modules that they have incorporated with. So there are two type of peoples, or there are two type of employee force or man force that is working in the production environment. Okay, one, there is developers, and second, there is, I would say, network engineers. Now when we talk about applications that are being created today, okay, be it Facebook, be it WhatsApp, be it Telegram, be it any other application, even Teams as well. So be it any other application that is being developed, these applications are network enabled application, means that these application cannot function without internet, correct? And every phone or every device that we use do have internet as of now. Okay, everyone has Wi-Fi in their house, everyone has 4G internet with them, and we are transitioning towards a 5G as well. So the applications are relying more and more on internet, and for the same thing, the application that are being developed as of now are network enabled application. It means that developers who are working in order to create these applications by using different frameworks and by using different development platforms, they need to have a small understanding of how networking actually works. Make sense? And then when problems, or I would say when network engineers needs to I would say deploy these applications into the production environment and troubleshoot the same, they also need to understand that how the applications are created and how they actually talk with each other. So all these things needs to be incorporated in a way that developer needs to understand some of the network engineering stuff, and network engineers also needs to understand some of the development things. And for the same thing, Cisco kind of divided these I would say certifications into two line of streams. So when you study for a CCNA, then 80% of the content that you will see depends or is about networking, and 20% of the content that you see is about I would say automation and development as well. And when you compare the same thing with DevNet, let's say we talk about a certification called DevAsk. Okay, then 80% of the content over here focuses on automation, exactly the vice versa, and 20% of the content is for networking. So when you look at the sixth module that you would see over here, the last module focuses on network fundamentals, in which they will talk about uses of IP, MAC address, and VLANs, and what is subnet mask, and what's IP address, and how do we use routes and prefixes and gateways. What is DHCP? What are basic networking topologies, and every other thing. So they want someone who is looking forward to do the training of I would say DevNet associate to also go through the introduction of networking. So they're expecting that developers also would be doing this training. And when you look at the CCNA, the new CCNA that they have announced, that contains some of the automation part as well. But there is one single thing that is lacking a lot in this module that we see for Cisco. The labs that are incorporated into this I would say certification talks more and more about different Cisco's platform and how you can automate these platforms. Now if we talk about these different platforms, then the platforms are iOS XE, the platforms are iOS XR, the platforms are NX OS, the platform are ASA OS. Correct. The platforms are different. I would say GUI, that is ACI, then SD-WAN. Okay, you have Meraki for wireless networks. You have DNA. These are various other platforms that have been introduced by Cisco and which are being developed into advanced, I would say, deployments. But if you want to automate all these, I would say, uh, platforms into a production environment, there are different things that you need to like use in order to configure the automation. The very first thing that you need is Python. Second thing that you need is understanding of HTTP framework, how HTTP request works or how web request works. Third thing, you need to be able to use third party applications. Okay, and the best example that we have is Postman. And then you need to be familiar with how do we actually use IDEs, integrated development environments. So when we use these things, it means that you can use all these platforms, like you can configure automation or you can configure different devices by using for XC, XR, NXOS, ASA, and all these other platforms. You can configure these devices by using either Python, by using HTTP like protocols. Okay, for example, a REST API, or by using third party applications like Postman, or by using integrated development environment by using Python init. And if you look at the content that DevNet Associate has came up with, then it doesn't have any inclusion that something will cover the fundamentals of Python, or something would cover, I would say, understanding of HTTP framework, okay, or something that would cover third party applications or how the framework works, okay, or something that would cover what is IDE and all. So what we see over there, and also there is no introduction that how normal iOS devices on top of all of these can be configured. So I would say iOS automation, for example, if we talk about devices like 7200 series routers or 2900 series switches or catalyst switches, better be it. So there is no, I would say, topic, or there is no module that focuses on the very fundamentals of how network automation can be done. And this is exactly what most of the company is looking forward to as of now. Okay, they are looking forward to people who can actually understand and who can actually deploy configuration onto the normal devices that we have here. Now let me give you a scenario that how network automation can help you in order to build up your career into networking. Let's say that there is a scenario. So SDN has been there since quite a long time. Okay, what does SDN stand for? It stands for software defined network. And this software defined network started to come up since to early 2000s, I would say. Okay, and the original, I would say, thought process of bringing software defined network was to improve packet forwarding techniques. Makes sense. And whenever you are kind of looking forward to improve packet forwarding techniques, you're talking about replacing protocols like RIP, EIGRP, OSPF, or even BGP, which are kind of backbone of the current networking scenario that we have in the world. Almost every single company uses one of this protocol or some of these protocols, or even some layer 2 protocols as well, STP, or I would say how frame switching is done, okay, how Cisco Express forwarding works, or any other protocols that helps layer 2 to function pretty well. And the packet forwarding techniques was being improved by replacing these protocols. But when standardized bodies gave it an attention, and they came to know that the actual need is not here in order to improve packet forwarding techniques. The actual need was something that you need to improve network automation or network operations. And what does this network operation means? Let's say that you have a manager, and that particular manager asks you to gather some of the detail from each and every device that you have in your production network. Let's say that you have 100 devices deployed in your production scenario. Okay, mix of routers, mix of switches, mix of firewalls, mix of load balancers, mix of blah blah blah, all the other devices. And let's say that your manager needs a report that would contain one, management IP address of the device; second, hardware details of the device, what model is that device is, who's the vendor of that, okay. Third thing, you want the vendor of that particular device. Fourth thing, you want serial number of that device. Fifth thing, you want the image version of that particular device. And there are several other things as well that your manager is looking forward to gather. Now he'll tell one of you guys, being a network engineer or network admin, to collect this information. Okay, and you've got what you need to do now. You need to go to the CLI of each and every device and fetch out this detail. Makes sense. And then you need to manually type it down in an Excel sheet or in a CSV file, and then you can forward that particular file to the manager who has asked you to gather this information. Now this will take days and days of time, And what are you doing as a network admin? A repetitive task. Makes sense? Now, humans have created computers in order to ease the repetitive task so that humans doesn't have to do repetitive tasks because machines does the repetitive task without being exhausted or smartly. Okay, if humans do the repetitive task, they'll get bored, and the chances is that the task will become error prone. If someone becomes bored by doing this particular job, okay, of storing all these details into an Excel file, then of course your Excel file will have some of the characters or some of the IP addresses that are being mistyped by the employee itself. But what if that you can create a Python script, and assuming that this is your network infrastructure, and this infrastructure contains various devices like routers, switches, okay, firewalls, and all these other devices, and you can just sit at one PC, okay, let's say this is an admin PC, and you can build up a Python script over here, okay, and that Python script is instructed to go out on all the devices that are mentioned over here, okay, or that are available in your production environment, and gather all these details for you and store it into an Excel file. And that same Excel file can be forwarded to the manager who has asked you for that particular job. Just like that, this is about fetching out the information from the devices. You can also create a script and deploy that particular script on multiple devices that are available in your production environment, and the same production environment now can actually be used in order to deploy automation there. However, there would of course be some time that would be needed in order to, I would say, configure a script or create a script that will solve your intention. But this particular script can again be modified and can be used for n number of times by modifying it if understanding of Python is catered in a well manner. Okay, so that you can use the same script to do multiple tasks again and again. Okay, and you will not be bored in that because you do not have to go on each and every device and do that particular task. You can just run that Python script, and that Python script will do the job for you. Make sense? Do you guys understand what I'm talking about? You can acknowledge if you understand what I'm talking about into the chat.
And also, there is one question, Abhijit. You
Yes.
can go to the last of the chat. There is one question from Harumin. I think that is only unanswered by my end, but rest is answered. Is there any simulation that can be used for network automation?
Yes, the simulation that we can use is GNS3, and that's exactly what we are going to use in this training. So there is GNS3 that is available, there is Eve NG that is available, and all these simulations can be used in order to learn network automation. And installation of these simulations and what all images that you will need for different platforms that we discussed, all these are going to be a part of your training. So I guess that was the question, Dipanshu.
Yes, yes, that works. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Now, to give you a better idea, what we are going to do is I'll just show you a small demo that how we can actually configure or create a Python script in order to configure multiple devices at a time without like a need of going into each and every device and configuring that device manually. So I'll just share my other screen with you, and that would kind of show you that how you can use a Python script in order to deploy automation in your network. That would kind of give you guys a better idea. So I'm just sharing my screen with you, and please let me know if you can see my screen now. Perfect. So this is my GNS3 that we are going to use here. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to create some topology. Let's say that we're going to have some of the devices here. I'll just take three routers. Let's say these routers are normal 3745. Okay, we have this router 1. Then we have other two routers as well. Router 2 and router 3. And these routers are connected to an Ethernet switch. And then we will kind of build up a cloud as well. So this cloud is nothing but an appliance that is bridged uh, with my physical Mac or with my physical machine, and I'm gonna connect these devices fast Ethernet interface to the switch that we have here. So this is how my devices would be connected to the switch, and an Ethernet 0 interface will be connected with that Ethernet switch as well. And what we're going to do, we are going to configure all these three routers FA0/0 interface with an DHCP IP address. So my physical machine is going to provide some IP address to the FA0/0 interfaces so that my physical machine is reachable onto these devices. Now, as I have turned on the devices, I'll just go and check. This is R1, this is our R2, and that's our R3. I'll just increase the font size for you guys. So this is our R1, right? Now I'm gonna go and configure the R1 with a normal IP address. So I'm gonna say conf t mode, and I'm gonna go into and go to the interface FA0/0, and I'll say no shutdown and configure the address with DHCP by using a command called IP address DHCP. And when I do that, my FA0/0 should get an IP address via DHCP. There you go. The address is 192.168.150.144. I'll just copy that and make a note of that. That my R1 has an IP of 192.168.150.144. Just like that, I'm going to go into R2, which is this router. Go to conf t interface FA0/0, no shutdown, and say IP address DHCP. And I will do the same set of configuration on R3 as well. So going on R3, conf t, interface FA0/0, no shutdown, and IP address DHCP. So our interfaces will be configured. If I go on R2 again, you can see that 145 from the same subnet has been allocated. So I'll just copy this address and I'll tag it over here with the same address, that 192.168.150.145 for R2. And for R3, it's gonna be 146, of course. And I can paste the address here like this. And you can see now what we need to check is, do we have this physical reachability from my physical machine? So this is my max terminal, okay? And I say ping 192.168.150.144, which is R1. And there you go. We have the ping replies. If we check, For R2 by changing the IP address to 145. There you go. R2 as well is reachable. And if we check the same thing for R3 by changing the IP to 146, there you go. So this is how magical it can be in the simulation. What you can do by using GNS3 is reach out or communicate with the virtual machines or with the virtual devices that are available inside of your topology, and you can make those devices communicate with the physical machine that you have. Isn't it magical? So that's how simulations can make your learning experience even better. Now, as we have configured it, we also need to configure something that would kind of make our script reachable onto the device. And for that, we are going to configure a local database for the authentication purpose, and we are going to enable telnet connections so that our Python script can be deployed onto the device. And for that, we're going to go on each and every router, and this would be part of your minimum configuration. And after doing that, there won't be any need to do the configuration by using CLI. Okay, so we're gonna say username. We're gonna create some usernames over here. I'll say username admin and password Cisco, and then I will say line VTY 0 space 4 login local and transport input all, and take an exit, and we're just going to create an enabled password as Cisco. Makes sense? So we created a local database, we created an enabled password, and then we enabled telnet onto these devices. And just like that, we'll go on R2 and say enable password Cisco, username admin, password Cisco, and then we will go on to line VTY 0 space 4, say login local and transport input all and end. These are all the configuration that we do on R2, and then we will go on R3 and say exit, enable password Cisco, username admin, password Cisco, and line VTY 0 space 4, login local, transport input all. And there you go. These will be the configuration that we will do so that our device is reachable. Now let's test our telnet is working fine or not. So I'll say do telnet 192.168.150.144. From R3 I'm trying to telnet to R1, and it says user access verification. I say admin as my username, password as Cisco, and I'm in. So just like that, I'll check for R2 as well, and there you go, admin Cisco, and we're good. Perfect. And we will also try to telnet to the self router as well. And there you go, it's on. Admin, Cisco, perfect. So our telnet is working just fine. Now the next thing that we're going to do is create a script, okay? And our intention is to create some loopback interfaces onto these devices, multiple devices, by using just single Python script. Okay, and how we're going to do that? I'm going to use a software called Microsoft Visual Studio Code, in which we are going to write down our code. Okay, so I'll just create a new script for us, and I will save that particular script with a name called demo.py. Okay, and I will save that particular script on my desktop saying demo.py. Okay, and .py is an extension that we use for a Python script. Now everything that we're going to type down in this particular script will be introduced to you from the very scratch into the training. Okay, this is just for a demonstration purpose so that you can get a sense of how the labs are going to be done, or how would they look like into the training. And again, these are very basic labs that we're going to do onto the iOS devices. Remember that the content needs to be covered on various different platforms, and we are nowhere close to the actual automation protocols that will be introduced to you guys into the training, like netconf, REST API, and I would say some other concepts as well. So let's go ahead and type down our script. Now the very first thing that we're going to do is uh, provide the knowledge of telnet to our script by importing a library called telnetlib. We're going to import this particular library so that our script knows how telnet actually works. Okay, Python kind of gives you the ability to use third-party libraries that are developed by different users or different developers, and you can import those libraries by just using import statement. And the next thing that we're going to do is store the details about our device. So we're going to store a detail called R1, and we're going to say R1's IP address is 192.168.150.144. Then we're going to say R2 is 192.168.140 dot 145. Sorry, 150 dot 145. The third router is R3, right? So you say R3 is equal to 192.168.150.146. And then we're gonna say username is of course admin for the telnet verification, and password is Cisco. This is how we store the details in. Okay, by when we store a string into a variable, we use double quotes in order to enclose that string with. Then after that, we are going to create a list in which we will be basically storing the details of these lists. So I'll say all devices is equal to, and I will create a list that says that R1, R2, and R3. We're going to call all those devices into a list. And then we will say for devices, in all devices, we will say tn is equal to telnetlib dot telnet of devices. Okay, we're going to call each and every device that is mentioned into this list. So the for loop will be executed against the first device, which is R1, then second device, and then third device. So we're gonna say tn is equal to telnetlib dot telnet of devices, and this particular comment is going to establish a telnet session with the device. Now for the authentication purpose, we're gonna say tn dot read underscore until, and it will wait for a prompt that says username. Okay, because whenever we kind of try to establish a telnet connection, let's say with R1, whenever we establish a connection, it asks us that what is going to be the username. So we say to our script that after requesting for telnet to R1, wait for the username prompt. And when you get a username prompt, reply that particular prompt with whatever that we have stored into username variable, that is admin. So we will call our username variable, and along with that, we also need to send an enter button, so that when we type down this username over here like this, we also need to hit the enter button to go to the password field, right? So when I say admin, I need to hit enter, and then password will be prompted. So once we type down this username, then we go, and next thing that we say that tn.read underscore until and wait for password. And then we say tn.write and call our password variable that in which we have stored the password actually. And along with that as well, we also need to hit the enter button. So slash n, in programming languages, we use slash n for new line, and it does the job of hitting the enter button. And then after that, we can print out a message for ourselves that print, uh, and we will say telnet connection established successfully with. Okay, and we can say we can concatenate the variables called devices, and it will print something like telnet connection established with 192.168.144 first, then the second thing will be 145, the third time will be 146, just like that. And then that would kind of give us a hint that on which device are we currently on. And this is the script for establishing the connection with the device. Then after that, we're going to type down our commands, that whatever we want. So the first command that we're going to type, and tn.write is going to be the function that we're going to use all the time. So we say tn.write, the first command is going to be enable, and after every command we need to use slash n, so that enter button is hit after every command. And then the next command is going to be the enable password that we have created, which is Cisco. And then we will go into config t mode by using the command configure terminal. And then we will say tn dot write interface loopback. I would say 10.1.1.1 along with the subnet mask and /n. And then we would kind of give it a description as well. That description, okay, over here we're going to create that, and then we're going to say tn.write IP space address, and then we're going to give it a description that configured by AB using Python. Make sense? This is going to be the part of the configuration. We're going to create a loopback onto each router, give it an IP address of 10.1.1 and give it a description as well. And then after that, we're going to take an exit. So we'll say tn.write end, and then we will break down the telnet connection by using exit. And then we will say print tn.read underscore all. This is how the script is going to be. Okay, so this is how our script looks like as of now. And I have saved it as demo.py. And as I run this particular script, let's see what happens. So when I execute the script, this is how the output looks like. You see that? There you go. The script did its job. So first, it said telnet connection established successfully with 144. Then it went on to enable, type down the Cisco password and configure a loopback for us. It went on to second router that says telnet connection established successfully on 145 and does the job of creating a loopback. And the third thing is creating the loopback on the third router. Makes sense to you? That's how magical it can be. Okay, and this is still very basic. The configuration I know differs on each and every device, but this is just a demonstration purpose that the loopback and IP address will of course be different on all the other devices, and there are various other options that are available on in Python that you can use. And if you verify the same, you can go on to router one's do show IP interface brief, and let's see the list of interfaces that we have. And there you go, a new interface called loopback 10 is there. And if we check do show run, the running configuration will show you the loopback interface with the description that says configured by AB using Python. And the same thing can be verified on R2 as well, like show IP interface brief. There you go, loopback 10 is there. And if we go on our third, do show IP interface brief. And the third one is there, 10.1.1.1. Make sense? So this is how magical automation seems to be. Of course, whatever we have written down in our Python script might not seem understanding or completely understanding to you guys, because you being network engineers are not aware about how these networking stuffs works or how these uh, I would say configurations works. And we can do all the operations onto these devices. We can configure the devices, we can remove the configurations. Network administrators or engineers do store all the CLI commands into the text files as well. So we can import the text files into the script, and we can call each and every I would say CLI command that is there into our notepad file. You can delete the configurations, rename the devices, and do every kind of operation that you can do by accessing every device that is present into your infrastructure remotely. This is how good automation can be. Okay, and how do you like there are different I would say options available that you can use in order to configure the devices. This is just one of the options that we explored by using Python script. You can do it by using third party applications. Do it by using GUI tools. Okay, and all these things are going to be introduced to you guys into the Python into the training that we're coming up with. So the important aspect over here is when we talk about now, if I stop sharing my screen and share my other screen with you. Yeah, I hope you can see my screen now. So the most important aspect of our training is that the official Cisco like content for DevNet associate exam covers, I would say, something that starts from software development, okay, which doesn't include Python and all, which includes what is XML, what is JSON, and all these are data structuring languages. Okay, what is GitHub? Okay, then you will be learning about automating iOS XE, okay, XR, NXOS, or ASA, or various other things. Okay, you will be learning about VCS, version control system. You will be learning about security of applications on and various other things as well. And these, I would say, topics do include a lot of subtopics as well. So all if we review all these modules that we have, software development and design, or understanding and using APIs, where you will learn about HTTP, where you will learn about REST API and other things. And in the third module, you will be looking for all the platforms that you have. Okay, so you have DNA, you have SD-WAN, you have ACI, you have iOS XE and NXOS automation. You have to be introduced with netconf. You have to be introduced with yang data models. But all of these can only be learned, or can only be tested along with application deployment and security and infrastructure automation, if you know certain things. And those certain things are fundamentals of Python, okay, and fundamentals of model driven programmability, which covers netconf plus restconf plus yang data model, or how data modeling is done. Plus, you need to have a solid understanding of how structuring language works. Okay, and in that comes under XML and JSON. So when you have the scratch knowledge or foundational knowledge of these things, that makes your journey complete. Otherwise, directly jumping into DevNet Associate is not going to help you. Uh, I would say a lot, because you will be understanding how automation can be, I would say, deployed onto the device. But if you do not know Python, then you cannot grasp all of it. So that's why what we have done is we have created a combo course, or we have created a course, a custom content that gives you the ability to learn Python fundamentals along with the other topics that would be needed. And then after doing that, we will be moving towards the content that is there into DevNet Associate exam. And this is what our training talks about: network automation with DevNet Associate. So that is what we will be focusing on. Okay. And I hope the training is going to be great, because it's kind of going to be a custom tailored training, and the content is curated according to the needs, because I've been delivering this training since 1.5 years now, and I have seen so many clients, including Cisco Australia, Cisco, I would say, Vodafone UK, Saudi Aramco. There are different South African companies as well that I've been associated with, including AFDB, including Sierra Leone banking, including some of the companies in Ghana and Tanzania, and some of the companies from, I would say, Asian countries as well, including Singapore, including Philippines, and so many clients I have seen. But everyone had a common concern that they didn't know about Python. So we recommended them that they go for the Python training first, and then they can move on with the DevNet Associate course. And when they did that, it kind of helped them a lot in order to understand how automation is actually going to help them to deploy into their production network. And that is exactly what companies or corporate MNCs are hiring for. Okay. So people from the corporate industry are looking forward for someone who has the understanding, of network automation, but they also need to have an understanding of development as well, like how Python actually works. And when you would kind of gather the concepts that we're going to cover in this training, this is going to help you a lot. Be it that you are searching for any new jobs or new opportunities in the networking field, or be it that you are looking further to upscale your knowledge if you're already working into any corporates. So that this is exactly the content that will help you a lot and give you a head start into a newly announced technology that by various vendors that are available there. So the training, as you guys or some of you guys might be knowing, that the training is going to be a weekends only training. Okay, which means that we'll be conducting this training on Saturday and Sunday. Okay, and this training will be done for 4 hours per day. Okay, and the training is going to start from 9th of January, and it will be a 56 hours of training. Okay, that will kind of have 16 hours as Python fundamentals plus 40 hours to DevNet Associate. This is how this 56 hours are going to be imparted. Okay, so it's going to be a 7 weeks training, and everything including the lab installations and how the labs can be used along with the simulations and all, everything will be covered in this particular training, so nothing needs to be worried about. Okay, if you do not have the resources ready with you, we have proper, I would say, setup for you guys that you can install. And yeah, that is how exactly we have this planned for you guys.
Perfect.
So
And
I would
also,
like to
Abhi,
invite Dipanshu here, so that he can guide you more about how we have planned the execution of this training, and he can suggest you
okay.
that how interesting it can be for you. So Dipanshu, are you there?
Yeah, thank you so much, AB. One quick question, like Liliane has one question and Rickwood has one question. Please answer
Mm-hmm.
that. Liliane is asking, I would like to ask if demo is not case sensitive because we declare variable as username in capital, not username
Uh-huh.
in small letters.
Uh-huh.
So while you were doing the practical, so like, is it case sensitive?
Yeah,
Like,
no, it's not case sensitive. You can go with small letters as well, and you can go with capital letters as well. Variables are user defined things. So I'm quite fascinated with capital letters being in my variable. So that's why I've used them in capital. You can use them in smalls as well. That's not an issue.
perfect. And second question is, can you also remove the configurations?
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Perfect. So, can you just please stop sharing the screen once? I'll just
Yes,
take over and I mean, just I'll take another maximum 2 to 3 minutes of you guys. You're already, behind schedule, so we'll just
I
not
did that.
take more than 3 minutes. Yeah. Thanks, AB. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can you see my screen? Can anyone confirm? AB, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen, and I hope everyone
Perfect.
can see your screen as well.
Perfect. Okay. So quick thing I want to share is like, during the live training, you can unmute yourself so that you can ask your doubts directly with AB. It won't be like this webinar. Okay. You can also share your screen, guys, where, you can, I mean, AB can take over your screen if you're facing any issues while configurations or anything, so that he can troubleshoot on your laptops directly instead of, just speaking to each other, oh, I'm not getting this issue resolved or anything like that. So that will be sorted out for you guys. And during the training itself, you'll get enough lab time. For example, if you want to do something during the training only, so AB gives plenty of time. That's why we have kept 4 hours per day slots, so that at least 1 hour or 1.5 hours you can spend in practicals during the training itself. Because we know we won't let you do it. We won't tell you that you have to do it after and do it at home. Nobody does that. We understand that. So we'll give you plenty of practical time during the training itself. Dates, like Mr. AB mentioned, 9th January to 21st February, all Saturday and Sundays. This is mainly for corporate people who cannot attend the training in weekdays timings. 4 hours per day. So total 7 weekends are there. 8 hours per weekend, like 4 hours per day, 4 hours per day. So 8 hours per weekend, 56 hours in total are there. Okay. This timing is as per GMT plus 5:30. However, if you're confused with what timings would be there for you, you can always ping me or ping Nitish directly and we will convert it for you as per your time zone. Okay. I'm not going to take you much time here. So actually, we mentioned original training fees are USD 210, INR 15,000, but then we discounted to USD 170, and now it is discounted further to USD 150 only till 30th December. Like if you do it book till 30th December, 31st December, this is at 30% discount for you guys. So I mean, just take a look at that. And I've already shared these in the chat box. Please check the chat box once. You can also connect Nitish directly. I've sent his WhatsApp, direct API to connect with him in the chat box right now. Please click on that. You can directly ping Nitish directly, or you can take the screenshot of this. Like this is paypal.me/PyNet Labs for all our international customers. You can directly go there, paypal.me/PyNet Labs, and you can directly enter 150 USD and pay simply. Yeah, and that's all, I guess. Full details link I've already shared. There we have shared the course outline. We have shared the demo batch video of the previous batch as well. Then Mr. AB's qualifications, certifications, everything is there. So everything is mentioned there clearly. So like I said, won't take much of your time. Let's get back to questions then. AB, you're seeing these questions? Harsan, yes. So labs would be on GNS3. You'll be required to have a 16 GB laptop. We'll be giving you GNS3 files and everything, and you can install them on your laptop. Okay, you've already answered. Sorry. So
yeah, we can install the labs in your PCs. That's not an issue. Okay?
Yeah.
So installation will be part of the training itself. And if you still face any difficulties in installing it laterwards, we do carry out Telegram groups as well, and over there we can connect with me directly, and I'll help you set up the labs. So not an issue with.
Yeah. Okay. So actually, Rick is asking that Rick is actually he has already paid for this training. He paid like a couple of days back. So Abhijit, he's asking, would you be giving him how to set up now or after once the course? I think during the course only you'll guide him, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Rick, you will be guided during the course itself. So we'll give you a link where you can download all those things. We'll give you a pre-link, maybe 2 days or 3 days before the training, and you can download those things locally on your system. But during the training, we'll do the installation part so that you don't have to face any trouble while doing it yourself. Harshit, that's fine. Then if you have 128 GB RAM, that will never be a problem. You can share with others now. You can share with 4 or 5 more people. Yeah, great. Any other questions? Anyone? Any other questions you have? Anything anybody would like to ask, you're most welcome, or maybe we can just end up this session, we can close this session. I think that's all for the day. Yeah, Harshan, thank you so much. So Harshan is the guy, if anybody needs the lab, so he'll help us out. Thank you so much, Harshan, for being generous enough.
All right then.
Chaitanya, yes. Sorry, Abhijit. Chaitanya, please ping me personally or Nitish personally. He'll send you the CCNA videos. If you have not watched the CCNA, you want to brush up your CCNA or anything, you can always take our CCNA recorded videos from us. Like we have recorded a CCNA video, you can take it from us and you can just watch them before the. Chaitanya, there is a link here. You can see my screen. There's a link here, WhatsApp.link. So just click on that link and it will redirect you to Nitish directly. Okay, Nitish will help you and coordinate with you. Perfect, guys. Thank you so much. AB, any closing remarks from your end?
I would say the audience has been great. That they pounded us with a lot of questions that we like to answer, and we're looking forward to see more of you guys into the training, as it's gonna be a wonderful session. As we're gonna have a lot of corporate clients as well in this particular training, and yeah, this was great having you on board for this demo session, and I hope it helped you to understand what we are actually going to cover and how trainer is going to be, or the communication methods of the trainer and the lab methods by understanding how demo can be conducted. So yeah, thank you so much everyone for tuning into this particular webinar, and looking forward to see you on board into the training.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Abhijit. Thank you all. Thank you so much. I mean, we can leave the meeting now. It's completely fine. Thank you.
All right, thanks everyone. Take care of your health, of your family, and be safe wherever you are. And take care of yourself. Bye bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care.